And they always said, never say liberal because voters have a negative impression of that.
Correct.
And they've successfully relabeled themselves. What I can't get through my mind is the Republicans went along with it. And I have never once heard a Republican, any Republican, call them out on it. This is a gimmick, this is a repackaging gimmick, but they go along with it. How stupid are the Republicans?
So again, it has to do with education.
Yes, they are.
So, yeah.
No.
No, so it has to do with education, and I wish that, you know, we have some great journalists out there, but we also have some very political biased journalists out there. Me personally, I listen to specific news people. You know, I listen to Lou Dobbs on Fox Business, very pro-Trump. I listen to Sean Hannity, and you know, he's very pro-Trump, but he will tell you on a Monday and a Tuesday and a Wednesday, he'll give you the whole summary of everything that happens, and he's very descriptive. I listen to Sarah Carter, I read Sarah Carter, she's a real investigative journalist. Jonathan Hill, who works on the Hill, he's a real, Jonathan Solomon, works on the Hill. He's a real investigative journalist. Kimberly Strassel from the Wall Street Journal. She was actually not a pro-Trump person from the beginning. She was a Bush girl, but she writes the news the way that it should be written. She's very objective in her writing.
She's good.
She's good. She's very, very good. And I read a lot of, you know, what she writes. You know, I read stuff from the Daily Caller, I read stuff from the Daily Wire, I read Breitbart.com. I mean, yes, they're conservative, but they're fair conservative, and they're right conservative. And even Drudge sometimes, you know, Drudge can write, you know, some stuff that's more moderate, you know, Republican, more moderate Democrat, but he's pretty much neutral in the middle. Yeah, he gives you both sides. Those are real journalists. They give you both sides of the story. So that's why I go on Facebook Live at least every 2 days, and I always bring up that these women are not progressive. They're using that language, they're using that word to lie to the American people, to lie to the young millennials, because they're trying to get into the young millennial psyche. And that's why Ocasio-Cortez has 4 million viewers on Twitter. They're all young millennials, because she says, I'm here to give you change. That's how she won Queens in the Bronx. She went door to door, so she went to the projects, and she says, look at your life, I'm going to make it better for you.
Like
I'm going to impeach that president, I'm going to get you Medicare for all, I'm going to get you the Green New Deal. You're not, guess what, you don't have to get married, you don't have to have children, because we're all going to be dead in 12 years. But I'm going to help you as much as possible. That's what she did. I mean, that's what she did, that's what she says.
And the Republicans ran a 70-year-old white guy who smelled like urine. I met him. It was disgraceful. In a minority district, they ran a 70-year-old white guy.
You're talking about Potus?
Yes, I met him.
But the reason she won is because she had George Soros behind her, she had Young Turks behind her, she had Justice for Democrats behind her.
And she had no opposition.
Yeah.
Don't forget Max Rose in Staten Island.
Yeah.
He was knocking on a lot of doors too, and he's not crazy about it.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, that's what the Democrats do to win a lot of them. They knock on the door.
That's smart.
It is smart, and I wish more Republicans would do that. And I worked on a lot of campaigns. They waited till like 2 months before the election. It's like Ron DeSantis won the primary in August. They didn't start knocking on people's doors till October. And I said, well, what happened from August to October?
And they won that by a thin.
They won it by a hair. I'm gonna tell you, the reason why Ron DeSantis won, he won 35% of the Jewish votes. That was the highest that a governor has ever won in that state. It was higher than,
right?
I'm sorry?
Miami-Dade, Palm Beach,
Broward?
Broward County, and I think one more. They're more heavily Jewish.
Yeah, Miami-Dade, Palm Beach County, Broward County, and even where I'm from in Sarasota County is very Jewish.
Yeah, I know you don't remember this, but Sarah Silverman.
I know Sarah Silverman.
She did the big schlep about 11 years ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
That had a big effect down there with the 29, 27 electoral votes.
It did. It did.
And they don't do enough of that, because look at somebody like Schumer, the comedian,
right,
not the senator.
Yeah, Amy Schumer,
And there's a lot of influential people out there, and you just have very few that are on the other side. And there's some brilliant people that are on the right, and they're just not as, they're
But my
afraid.
point was, I want to make my point. The reason that Ron DeSantis won 35% of the Jewish vote, which was more than Rick Scott did in his gubernatorial race and his Senate race, is because he knew his opponent. and who his opponent, Andrew Gillum, was supported and backed by.
Very far
He
left.
was supported by George Soros and Tom Steyer. He was supported by Black Lives Matter, BDS, and Dream Defenders. And Ron DeSantis, my governor, who's now my governor, he pounded that narrative every single day, and it resonated.
By the way, it also
And that's
worked,
why he won 35% of the vote.
it also worked next door in Georgia,
Right, exactly.
because this woman was terrible.
She was terrible. And I know that Governor Brian Kemp, and I worked with the Chick-fil-A people in Atlanta, and I know how he got there. But anyway, my point is that the more we pound the narrative of who these people work with, who these people are funded by, the polling, it resonates in the American psyche, it resonates in the Jewish psyche, and that's how we're going to get more of the Jewish vote. That's why the president is going after the squad. He's the only one that's doing it, besides my group and others, and other Jewish Republicans. Because if you let these people get away, if you don't call them out, if you're quote-unquote afraid, they will take over.
Why is he the only one? What happened to the RNC?
Because people are afraid.
What happened to the RNC?
The RNC is getting better because his poll numbers are up, he's doing really well, and it's all about money. He's getting a lot of money for the RNC.
Just had a good fundraiser the other day.
Yeah, he's got a great fundraiser. He's at a fundraiser this weekend in the Hamptons.
Yeah, he was
with the guy who's all over TV.
was there.
Yeah.
A local.
Anyway, other questions? Yes. Go ahead. What's your first name?
Michael
Michael.
Ferry.
Michael Ferry?
Ferry, yeah. Okay. Three things. I'll say three things real fast. Okay. First, I had to write them down because Glenn said I have to hold my questions, so I had to write them down because if I don't, we're going to forget. I'm sorry, but I have to write them down. Okay. First thing is, this is what Ronald Reagan said, and I never forgot this. He said, freedom does not go through the blood. People are born, they don't know what freedom is, they have to be taught freedom. So every 20 years, okay, the education community changes the narrative, okay? You gotta understand something. The biggest mistake that we ever made in this country was back in the 60s or even before that, we let the liberals take over the school system.
Right.
They've been brainwashing our children for the last, I'm 61 years old, I went through the brain, they tried to brainwash me in high school, excuse me, I have to get up for a second, okay? I had a fight with my economics teacher in high school. I mean, not a physical fight, but I had a debate. I stood up in front of the class because he was the economics teacher, and he was trying to convince everybody that socialism is a better way to run the country than capitalism. And I stood up and said, excuse me, you're wrong. And I told him exactly why. And then we had a kind of an argument,
Right.
not a fight, we had a debate in front of the entire class. I crushed him. I crushed him. Afterwards, I said, I know, you're going to fail me for the class. I said, no, I'm going to give you 100 because you had never been through anybody. You really understood the book. Thank you. I crushed his ass on every level. But the thing you have to understand is this, and that is that, okay, my niece, I love my niece, I adore my niece, okay? Okay, I'll say this as nicely as I can. I will give you $1,000 cash, okay? All you gotta do is deprogram my fucking, excuse my language, deprogram my niece. Because they sent her to a college in Massachusetts. When she left to go there, she was a good little Jewish girl from New Jersey. She came back a socialist, an atheist. She came back an atheist, she came back a socialist.
We might scare the people next door.
Okay, I'm sorry. And I am pulling my hair out. Okay? And this is her mother.
Oh, you-
By the way,
I'm
she
pulling
needs,
her
I
hair
mean, I
out.
have cousins too.
introduce her to my niece, she lives 2 blocks away.
I have a cousin too,
My niece.
which is hilarious because my cousin was born in America and she's lived in Seoul, I'm gonna butcher the names. It's Seoul, that's it, Seoul, South Korea. She's lived there for about 20 years now. And she comments about our election, and she is Jewish, and she supports BDS, and she supports Omar. And I'm like, do you even know what that is? Like, she didn't know what it was. And I had to, educate her on it. And she finally like, oh my God, I didn't realize, oh my God. And she has never been on the land. Now raise your hand.
I believe thinks it's okay to kill all the cows.
Right, she didn't understand. She didn't understand, she was ignorant. But hold on. So I don't want to offend anybody with this comment. Raise your hand if you've been to Israel.
Not yet.
Okay, so the majority of people. So it's really hard to talk about, Israel being an apartheid state without actually like being on the land, without actually like living on the land. And if you go to Israel, and if whoever didn't raise their hand, hopefully you'll have a chance to go to Israel, you'll see that it's not an apartheid state. Okay, never was. And it's really hard for people to comment about Israel and what goes on there, and there's so much turmoil, and oh my God, I would never live there, until you actually step foot on the land. I had the pleasure of living there for a year.
It's a very tough.
I felt much safer walking in the streets of Jerusalem at 2 o'clock in the morning by myself, by the way, than walking down the streets of Manhattan. I felt much safer walking in Tel Aviv, or in Ashdod, or in Ashkelon, or Sderot, which is on the border of Gaza and Israel. It's on the border. They get rockets flown there all the time. I felt much safer walking there by myself till 1 o'clock in the morning than walking down the streets of Boston, Massachusetts. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. Oh.
Two things. Number one, the millennials, or the squad-type people could be defeated. Take a look at the DA election in Queens. It was such a squeaker, it was so close.
Yeah, but they're both crazy
the votes
leftists.
accepted, the votes counted, the votes thrown out, the Board of Election, who knows what they did. But the fact that Melinda Katz made it is a big achievement. And he's talking about education, so I had to stick my feet in how we can tell you about my connections to the school system. The big thing with education is the schools, number one, do not teach history. Number two, the young people, mainly the ones that have moved to New York from other places, reject history. They do not want to learn it. For them, history began after Vietnam. Literally, they do not know about quote-unquote communism. They do not know about Stalin and Lenin, or what the Russians did to the Jews and to the Catholics and to the Christians in Russia because of the mandatory atheism that they imposed. They do not have any idea of any of this. And I want to bring in one other thing. I now teach at a private school, at a yeshiva high school. In that school, up until recently, among their required reading, social studies, the economics class, they used to have to read Ayn Rand. Suddenly now, in that school, Ayn Rand was replaced with a more globalist view of what they're reading. Because she's from the past, that's the old thing. Capitalism is dead. We're going beyond capitalism. And that's a community that's very, very strongly pro-Israel.
One thing that I learned from watching TV and Fox News, I'm not a reader.
I read a lot.
I'm dyslexia. But the thing is we shouldn't call it capitalism anymore. We should call it economic freedom.
That's a good term.
Economic freedom.
Thank you, James.
Economic freedom. So when they talk about capitalism,
Yes.
they talk about
No,
economic
I just want to say to the lady, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Extremely enlightened, whatever, all the things that you said. And you don't have to send me on Israel. I love Israel, and I hope someday go there. Everybody,
Thank you.
I was going to make the point, everyone in this room, if you would like to come to Israel with us, please let us know. We're having about 100 people come all together, but we would love for you to come to Israel.
To May 29th?
Yep, it's Jerusalem Day.
Post that on the.
Yeah,
Is there
we'll
a
post it. It'll be on our website.
I don't do webs, I'm not a spider.
Oh.
He's a fossil.
But I'll definitely put it on, your Facebook page.
Don't tell me that.
what's your website?
So our website is JEXITUSA.org.
Maybe you can get a story. Maybe you can get a
JEXITUSA.org.
story into the Jewish press
I would love to.
as a way to do it. Quality editors.
Yeah, I would love to. Go ahead.
So the reason why, I'll tell you two things. I listen to WBAI, and it's amazing how they're even on the air with the lies and the hate that they have for just not Jews in Israel, but for America, it is unbelievable. It is so outrageous that, it's like mystifying. But the thing is, now that we're here, we have to, they're trying to, stuff our voices here in Brooklyn. All of a sudden, all these, these elected officials are in Brooklyn. Where did they come from? They're so anti-Semitic, they support the Palestinians, and they have no qualms about speaking up. What are we going to do now to get like a town hall? Maybe we, to get people like, oh my God, there are other voices. So we have to, what are we going to do now that, that she's here? How are we going to be Brooklynites, but standing up, get a town hall meeting? I mean, I called up people. I mean, I called up the rabbi from
Try
Brooklyn
dump
Heights.
hiking, like I said, maybe you can get it in the streets. Make it
Hold on.
How
The
about a
problem, okay, I'm gonna tell you about the problem with the street.
rain.
The problem with the street, yeah, it could be rain, weather also.
Heat.
I'm sorry?
I just said heat.
Oh, so, well, we're already getting into starting the fall here in New York,
Yeah.
so we're not gonna be able to get it together before it gets cold.
That's a bad season. Anyway.
Yeah, so the summer will be better. Or excuse me, fall.
Autumn.
Sorry.
Summer's too hot, like
Right.
October, November is the best time for a rally.
Right, October, November.
We've had a number of rallies at Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza by the UN for various things.
Oh,
I'm talking in the past with
Okay.
Free the Russian Jews, and then after that,
Okay,
there
but
were
hold on,
others
wait, let me
in
finish,
Brooklyn.
please. Sorry, let me finish, because
Those
it's
are
important.
street rallies.
No, it's okay. So, the issue is sometimes with doing it on a street or having it look like a protest. We are not a protesting movement. We are an educational organization. And we have to be very careful of opposition coming against us too. We also have to be careful about getting bad press as well. My group specifically works with the Trump campaign, the Trump Advisory Board. I would have to get full approval from them before we do something like that.
Maybe
They-
maybe a synagogue, maybe?
Synagogue won't do it. They say it's too political. And to be
Yeah,
honest
but
with
the
you,
other side can do it,
it depends on the synagogue, to be
The
honest
other
with
side
you.
could do
The
it.
synagogue
Yeah.
removes their tax exempt status, that's the
All right,
law. You
folks.
cannot do political things.
Well, yes and no, because I have been to a lot of conservative and reform synagogues in my lifetime, and every sermon on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is extremely political, goes
Yes, it
against
is.
the Republican Party, and furthermore,
That's why.
hold on,
they
let me
want to
finish,
take
please let me
away their
finish,
tax
please let me
exemption.
finish. Okay, please let me finish. And under law, President Trump signed the Lyndon Johnson Amendment, which states no separation of church and state. Rabbis and priests are allowed to discuss politics in their schools and their the pulpit. Sorry. And one of the big guys is Pastor Robert Jeffries, who has his own church down in Dallas, and he's an evangelical, and he talks about Trump and Republicans all the time.
John
So that's
Hagee-
why I
John
don't
Hagee.
understand why a lot of
John
rabbis
Hagee,
are a little bit nervous to, to discuss even just anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is political, but it's not as political as, me saying vote for Trump. Obviously at a synagogue, I wouldn't say vote for Trump, but I would just make the statement that, why would a Jewish person not vote for somebody that supports Israel, that acknowledges the Golan Heights and such and so forth. So that's why synagogues and churches, it's very,
Or maybe they
it's
need
very
to be
hard.
enlightened at the new thing you signed into law.
Right.
Maybe they're under the old.
I just have a,
Right, they're ignored or they don't remember.
I just have another question on the takeaway. I mean, for years, since 2015, I was a latecomer supporting Trump, I have to admit. I didn't like him, and I still have reservations about him, but I see what the stakes are, and I have for many years. That's why in May of 16, I said, I have to get behind him from New York State in the primary, just because the country's going off the cliff. So my question is, what happened after Trump? I know next year is very important, and I tell this to people on the air all the time, as well as online. They have to plan for the future. Trump he's there, but they have to say what's going to happen post-20, whether he wins or not.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I think he could lose. I heard what Ann Potus said recently, and I know he might have reservations about her, but she's got a lot of
Say
good
on the
points. Look, no, I remember, I'm old enough to remember when California was very solid, when Texas was very solid Republicans, when even New York voted for Reagan in '84, right? They voted, I don't know about Bush, maybe Bush in '88, maybe not.